Week's main news. First group of jailed April 2 protesters receive sentences. Human rights defender sentenced to 3 years in jail. Former Azerbaijani president commemorated. Ruslan Bashirli refused early release. Solidarity protest by human rights defenders. Gündem Haber newspaper protest against pressures.
Today, the Sabail District Court in Baku sentenced the 6 opposition activists arrested for their involvement in the April 2 rally held by the Public Chamber opposition group. According to the investigation materials, the defendants disobeyed the police and caused damage to 25 civilians and police, as well as a bus amounting to a total of 1,325 manats. Judge Elnur Hassanov pronounced the defendants guilty under Articles 233 and 186.1. Organization of or participating in activities that disrupt public order and deliberate injury to or destruction of another's property. The judge sentenced Azerbaijan Popular Front Party member Arif Alishli to 3 years in jail and non-affiliated Elnur Israfilov to 2.5 years. Sahib Kerimov from Azerbaijan Popular Front Party and Eshan Hassanov from Savat Party received 2 years. Charges brought against Sahib Kerimov and Zulfikar Eyvazli based on Article 185.1 were dropped. The court ruled that Israfilov and Alishli will pay 1,325 manats to the bus driver for damaging the bus. In a protest against the sentencing, the defendants and their supporters began to sing the national anthem and then chanted "Resign" and "Freedom." Their protest culminated in a spontaneous rally of 100 people in front of the courthouse. Police attempts to calm down the crowd failed. In the final speech during yesterday's hearing, the defendants pleaded not guilty and deemed their arrest a political injection.
Today, Göyçay District Court sentenced human rights defender Vidadi Iskendarov to 3 years in prison. Judge Elkan Süleymanov presided over the hearing. Vidadi Iskendarov has been charged under Articles 159.3, 160.1 and 133 of the Criminal Code, interfering with the implementation of the right to vote, interfering or influencing the operation of election commissions, and physical assault. The judge banned video or photo recording in the courtroom. In symbolic act of protest, Vidadi Iskendarov turned his back to the judicial staff. After the sentencing, human rights defenders and people sitting in the courtroom chanting "Resign" and "End the dictatorship" and "Freedom for Vidadi Iskendarov." Iskendarov supporters believe that human rights defenders' arrest is illegal and unfair. The police and undercover agents kept the court building under control until the end of the trial. This sentence makes Iskendarov the first human rights defender to be jailed in Azerbaijan. August 22 marks the 11th anniversary of the death of National Freedom Movement leader and former president of Azerbaijan, Abulfaz Elchibay. Elchibay played an important role in the history of Azerbaijan. He was born on June 24, 1938 in Ordubad in Nakhchivan. During his lifetime, he was a scientist, a dissident, leader of national movements, such a political figure, president, and eventually an exile. He died in 2000 in Turkey. Today, Elchibay's colleagues, political party leaders, party activists, and young people gathered at his grave in the Alley of Honor. During the commemoration ceremony, the state anthem was sung and speeches were made, focusing on Elchibay's involvement in the democratic movement in Azerbaijan at the end of the 20th century and his continuing struggle for democracy. Mourners laid flowers at the grave and read out prayers.
Su akar yokuşlardan hep basamak basamak, benimse alın yazan yokuşlarda susamak. Her şey akır, tarih, insan ve fikir, oluklar cift, birinden nur akar, öbüründen kir. Fakat Sakarya başka, yokuş mu çıkıyor ne? Kurşundan bir yük bürünmüş köpükten gövdesine çırpılır, yırpılıyor yokuşu sökmek için. Eyvah Sakaryan, kim demişse vurulmaz perçin. Rabbim isterse sular büklüm büklüm vurulur, sırtına Sakarya'nın düş tarlıyor.
Yesterday, the early release Apple of New Sort Youth Movement chairman Ruslan Besherli was considered in prison number 1 of the Westminster Penitentiary Service. Judge Azar Ismailov presided over the hearing. The appeal was denied. Besherli remains in prison. Besherli lawyer Tahir Khan Aliyev said, as Besherli has already served 3/4 of his sentence, early release was a possibility. Besherli has been in prison for 6 years and will serve a further 11 months behind bars. Besherli's prison guards gave him a poor assessment, describing him as introverted and unremorseful. He maintains he is innocent of the charge to seize governmental power, and on these grounds cannot be considered to have been rehabilitated. The lawyer argued that assessment is unfair. According to him, the recommendation that prison submitted to the Presidential Pardon Commission in October 2010 was entirely positive. Lawyer Tahir Khan Aliyev said that New Sort Youth Movement chairman Ruslan Besherli's arrest is politically motivated and there is no political impetus to release him. Public prosecutor Bashir Jafarov spoke on behalf of the state and society and said that Besherli should serve his whole sentence to the end. Besherli commented on his statement, arguing that prosecutor does not have any right to speak on behalf of the society. His lawyer said that they will take the issue to the European Court of Human Rights. Besherli was arrested on the eve of the May 2005 parliamentary elections. The Grave Crimes Court sentenced him to 7 years in jail on July 12, 2006 under Article 278 of the Azerbaijani Criminal Code, violent capture of power.
Today, a group of human rights defenders held a protest outside the remains of the demolished Institute for Peace and Democracy office to show solidarity with the director Leyla Yunus and other citizens whose houses have been destroyed. Mirvari Garamanli of the Defense Committee for Oilmen's Rights, Anna Mamadli of the Defense Alliance for Political Freedoms, Zohrab Ismaili of the Assistance to Free Economy Public Union, IPD representative Azad Isadiyev, Human Rights Club coordinator Rasul Jafarov, IRFS chairman Amin Husseinov, and other journalists were in attendance. Youth activists and neighbouring residents also joined in. The civil society representatives protested against the demolition work on the grounds that it violates the constitution and local legislation. It was also said that such steps by authorities are not typical in democratic countries, and this type of behaviour reflects poorly on Azerbaijan's leadership. Copies of the statement, signed by civil society organisations, were distributed to protesters. The statement demands an end to the violation of property rights of citizens, compensation for psychological and financial damages, and to bring to justice those responsible for the destruction of the IPD office.
Gundam Khabar newspaper founder Shirin Jafari held a press conference at IRFS today to publicize the criminal case launched against the newspaper, which has been charged with tax evasion and the abuse of power. Jafari said that he hadn't received any official notification of the launch of the case, and he is still unaware of which newspaper article caused the problems. He expressed doubt that Ali Hassanov, the head of President Administration Social-Political Department, is involved, despite an article the paper published called Empire Beating the Press on Hassanov's media monopoly. This attack, said Jafari, was initiated by the National Press Council. The Ministry of Taxes has reported that the newspaper owes nearly 70,000 AZN in taxes. The founder dismissed allegations, saying that the newspaper only sold 1,000 copies of each edition. Jafari argued that to have come to this figure, the ministry must have calculated sales at 8,000 copies per edition, a calculation level only reached by popular newspapers like Azadlık and Yeni Musavat. Today's edition led with the headline "Put an end to pressures against Gundam Khabar." He asked for support from the community and from media representatives for legal counsel. Lawyer Elchin Sadigov has undertaken the newspaper's defense. Turan Information Agency Director Mehman Aliyev alleged that the press council abused its power by complaining to the state-run institution and that the body was failing to carry out its duties. Aliyev offered to carry out an investigation of the press council's statement, the tax ministry documentation, and the criminal case launched by the Anti-Corruption Commission. IDFS Director Emin Huseinov also condemned the measures taken against the newspaper and deemed it necessary to raise the issue for public discussion. During the discussion, participants also brought up the possibility of establishing an institution to act as an alternative to the press council.
Vergiler Nazirliyi absurd bir qərar çıxardıbdı və Vergiler Nazirliyi bununla bağlı mənə